First thing as always, make sure to remove the SIM tray. Alright, next you're going to want to heat the back up with a hair dryer or a heat gun, whichever you prefer, so you can loosen up the adhesive. Then you're going to want to pry the back off with a plastic pry tool. Once you heat the back up, you can use a suction tool to help you get leverage between the back plate and the mid frame, so you can get your pry tool in between and it'll help you pry the back off. Alright, once you got your plastic pry tool in, go ahead and work your way around the phone, loosening the adhesive. Alright, once you got the back pried off, just go ahead and open it towards the left side of the phone. Be careful, this fingerprint scanner cable is still connected to the main board. Alright, now you're going to want to remove this plastic cover over here so you could disconnect the cable from the board. I'm going to use a metal tool because it's really tough getting this plastic piece off with the plastic tool. Once you got the cover off, go ahead and disconnect the cable from the board. Just pop it off. Alright, next you have 14 T4 screws you're going to have to remove throughout the phone. You also have a tamper sticker over here covering one of the screws. Alright, once you got all the screws removed, you're going to remove the top plastic cover and the bottom one. Alright, next you got 6 cables you're going to have to disconnect, one of them including the battery cable. First disconnect the battery cable. Now continue on disconnecting the rest of the cables. And you have one black one over here. Now go ahead and disconnect the main camera and remove it. Next, lift up this copper colored tape over here. Just peel it up. And then disconnect the front facing camera cable underneath it. And remove that. Now you got a T4 screw over here, go ahead and remove that. Alright, now we're going to remove the main board. That aside. Now there's 2 cables on the bottom where the charger port board is. Disconnect both those cables. Now there's a T6 screw over here, go ahead and remove that. Now go ahead and lift up the charger port board. that aside. Now you're left with the mid frame, the vibrator motor over here, the battery, and your earpiece speaker over here on top. Now if you need to replace the screen, at this point once you took the phone apart, you'd have to just remove the battery by prying it off gently, but be careful you don't damage the battery. You'd have to remove the battery so you get access to the screen cable that runs underneath and through the mid frame. And then you'd have to heat the front of the phone up so you can pry the screen off the mid frame and put your new screen back in, run your cable through, and then just reverse the whole process to put the phone back together. So now we're going to put the phone back together. We're going to put the charger port board back in. Once that's back in, go ahead and connect the cables for it down here. Once that's back in, we're going to put the main board back in place. Make sure none of the cables get stuck underneath it. And you're going to slide the top in first. Once your main board is back in place, go ahead and put the screws back in for the main board and the charger port board. Next, we're going to put the front-facing camera back in and connect it back to the main board. And we're going to put the copper-colored protective tape back over. Now we're going to put the main camera back in and connect it to the main board again. Now go ahead and connect the rest of the cables again. Now finally connect the battery cable. Now we're going to put the plastic covers back over. You're going to put the top in first. And then we're going to put the bottom one. Now go ahead and put all 14 screws back in. Alright, next we're going to connect the cable for the fingerprint scanner back to the main board. And then we're going to put the cover back on. Pop it back in place. Now if you need to apply some new adhesive to the back plate, you're going to put your back plate back in place. Flip over the phone. Power it on. And you're done.